It's okay to ask for help. We always say that. No? And there's no health without mental health. That's how important mental health is. No need to be afraid. We all need help once in a while. Can I always say this, no? Asking for help is a sign of courage. It's a sign of self-awareness and also a sign of maturity. No shame there.
Meet Eric Dimar,
a registered psychologist
registered guidance counselor,
and passionate mental health advocate.
Eric leads and manages DMR Psychological Services.
Serves as an assistant professor in the Department of Psychology at the University of Santo Tomas.
And is the operations lead for the volunteer group Thomasian Mental Health Responders.
Because we care about our children, no? And we don't want them to suffer,
Psychologists, they help us to give clarity on what they want.
we kind of nurture them too much.
There's so many things going on to our head that
It's not healthy for them anymore.
we don't know if we're going to that direction.
But because of social media, the variability is so much.
Us solving it, it's gonna take us some time.
I believe that people are not ready for that. That when they see this so high people, kind of make them depressed that I'm not like that.
But if there's an expert, it will expedite everything. It will fast track everything.
People are becoming either very insecure or very depressed or very concerned. There's nothing wrong with being concerned.
So psychologists could help you, to fast track everything, and they could give you a clarity.
But if it affects how you think about yourself and others, then it becomes something it doesn't add to the resilience of people.
How do you say that this is your problem?
Alam mo talagang they're not okay. Why? Kasi they cannot.
This is School of Rock, where the future multimillionaire gets inspired.
Welcome once again for another interesting episode of School of Rock. Today we have very interesting guest. He's an expert in mental health. He's a psychologist, and he's been helping a lot of people on how to recover about anxiety, depression, And without further ado, let's all welcome our guest, Eric Dimar.
Hello, Rock. Good day to you.
Yeah, it's really nice to have you here in our show.
My pleasure. Happy to be here.
Okay, so what is mental health? I've been discussing this to you off air as well, and you, of course, we're friends now. Lately, I've been noticing a lot of demand about mental health now after pandemics. Maybe for the knowledge of our audience, what do you do now as a psychologist?
So the focus of psychology is about human behavior, right? But the thing is, our behavior is often associated with how we think and how we feel, right? So you ask about what is mental health, diba? So distinguishing it from physical health, which is about the body, and that's what medical doctors are for. Psychologists, what we deal with is about the mind, how we think and how we feel, right? Thoughts and emotions, how thoughts affect the body and how emotions affect the body. So it's that, no? So if the concern would be overthinking, and a lot of people are overthinking, that causes a lot of anxiety, then that's a field for psychologists. If the concern is about depression, right, or having certain obsessions, compulsions, and addictions, that also is in the field of psychology. But even if mga normal life situations like how do I deal with relationships, and this is about family, friends, romantic partners, or even workmates, that's also in the field of psychology. When we talk about life directions, on which a lot of people now are having some troubles with, in what we call existential crisis. Adolescents have that. A lot of young professionals have that. If you have heard about quarter life crisis, it's a question of, wait a minute, what am I doing this for? Why am I going to school? This is really the kind of work that I want to do. These are called existential questions. And when they come up with no answers, then they end up having an existential crisis, and that can lead to depression. Now, that doesn't have to, you don't have to do psychotherapy for that. Counseling work is already helpful, like identifying what is really important for them. Where do they want to go, right? So that's already a big help for a lot of people. So again, what is mental health? It's about how people think and feel about things, themselves, other people, and the future, and how it affects their overall health.
Why mental health right now is important?
Well, mental health has always been important, but what we've been noticing is a lot of people now are opening up to the idea that it is important.
Yeah, because I remember way back when we were working, for sure you know this, Hindi naman nagkakalayo edad natin.
Yeah.
We have the same age. I remember during those times when I was working in corporate, my boss cursing me. My boss really throwing a lot of harsh words to me. But then again, it feel depressing. I feel a little bit anxiety. But I don't understand that mental health, no, until this pandemic came. And then most of the people now, even the employees, are using this. I don't know, but they say they're using this as an excuse to have a sick leave. Yeah. Why there's no awareness of this before as compared now?
Well, let's look at it this way. There's like this law of thirds. It's not really one third, but just a group of people that are okay, that if they're not okay on their own in time, they're going to be okay. And there are people that, sadly, even with any help, they won't get better. But there's this group of people that with enough support, they're not okay, but they will get better. And that's also true in the field of medicine. Sabi nga, pag may sakit, magpahinga lang, gagaling yan. Merong mga tao na may sakit, may gamot man dyan, talagang they won't make it. But there's this group of people that with intervention, with medication, they can be helped. So let's go back to the mental health. Like in your case, like probably in our case during that time, papagalitan tayo, but kaya naman natin, it becomes our normal. But even during our time, there were a group of people that we didn't know that when they experience that kind of thing, it will be the death of them.
Yeah,
they would commit.
Kasi
that they will be okay.
Yeah, the effect of this kasi it's either good or bad. But some people who are experiencing this, they call it grit. No? Mas pumapalo sila. They become more successful. They become more aggressive or brave, resilient. But on the other side of this, when they say this, it becomes the reality.
So for those group of people, again, sadly, they were not able to get the help and they're no longer with us. What we've noticed is that more and more people are now becoming like that. No? Likely nga because of social media, more young people now are not as resilient as before. So we can say, of course, just be resilient, but the fact is they're not, or they're not yet. So how can we help them, right? The more important question now, if this is how they are right now, how can we help them?
So why do you think these people nowadays, becoming less resilient in this era?
There's this one idea na it's actually the fault of the parents, no? Like Gen Z, I'm part of Gen Z. I'm sorry, I'm part of Gen X. Because we care about our children, no? And we don't want them to suffer, we don't want them to have all these negative life experiences, we kind of nurture them too much. That
isn't that?
It's not healthy for them anymore. No? So that's one thing, right? But another thing is social media. One is, when we were growing up, the people that we know about ourselves, our family, and then our classmates and friends. Yeah, no? So the variety of people is not that big, right? So we get to experience what are the good things and the not so good things, but the variable is not that big. But because of social media, the variability is so much. Like, people know the richest of the rich and the poorest of the poor, the kindest of the kindest, the most beautiful and all, and the most depressing people. And because of that, I believe that people are not ready for that. That when they see this so high people, kind of make them depressed that I'm not like that. So it makes them depressed. Or the other one naman is when they see the saddest of the sad, they feel na, oh, I don't want to be like that. No? What can I do? Right? So that things would prevent. So people are becoming either very insecure or very depressed or very concerned. There's nothing wrong with being concerned. But if it affects how you think about yourself and others, then it becomes something na, it doesn't add to the resilience of people who they are.
Interesting, no? For me, in my experience as well, sometimes I feel when I check social media, I have that kind of feeling now, why they're successful and why I'm not. Why they're able to go there and why I'm not. No? Parang you're comparing yourself to them, and that's where the anxiety came in, no? Tama, no?
True.
And then from there, of course, me in my age, I can able to overcome that. But for those people who can't overcome, I think for them it's really a challenge. Now the question here is, why the generation right now? You mentioned about the parenting and then the social media. Why do you think people are addicted to this, and they know naman that it's gonna be the cause of their anxiety?
Are you referring to addiction to social media?
Yeah.
Well, number one, if it's easy entertainment. It's something that is at hand. Yeah, no? Pero one thing is this, dati kasi we go out of the house and play. Now, because parents do not want them to play, they stay at home. So what do they at home? Their gadgets. Right? So again, the dynamics now is different than before. Why are people addicted to it? Kasi it's a simple, quick boost, simple and quick source of a boost. But yeah, we know it's not that healthy. Right? So we want people to go out more, right? Experience the life outside of the home. Right? So we want parents sana to promote that also. Parents care, they don't want their children to be masaktan, masugatan, mawala, maligaw, but it's not helping them also in the long run.
So you as a psychiatrist, no, what is your objective whenever you encounter a client? Of course, no, we want them to be okay. But my point here is, why did you choose this profession?
Well, as a psychologist, right? I'm not a psychiatrist. Psychiatrists are medical doctors.
Oh yeah,
and
psychiatrist.
some psychologists are
Psychologist.
described to be doctors also, but because of their PhD.
A
right?
PhD,
So,
okay.
now the question is, why did I enter this? I can go back to high school life. During high school, I still don't know what program to take for college. And then it just suddenly dawned on me, psychology. And when that came to mind, I did realize that I've always been interested with people. Like, why do people do this thing? No? How can we improve relationships? So it's that. No? It's more of the interest about people, and more so, how can we improve on individual behaviors and behaviors related to other people? So I took up psychology. Earlier you mentioned how it was then. Psychology was not popular then.
Agree.
Right? And I have to say, I'm thankful for my parents that even if it's not popular, right, they allowed me to pursue the program. Right now, psychology is one of the most popular programs in universities. Okay, but again, asking the question, why did I take this program, is because of that interest. How can I help people?
Now, with these people who are experiencing anxiety, depression, sabihin natin, it's not the mental health, it's not really good. As a psychologist, how you solve it? Is it okay if you share it step by step?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So our audience could understand on how psychologists, and how will they approach you, no? Kasi sabihin natin, yeah, they're aware of this, but they don't know how to approach a person. Kasi they're sharing their selves, their thoughts, they're selling their thoughts. This is different from a doctor who are just getting the blood count, the blood pressure, but this one, it's something different eh. What's going on in your head, no? Yun siya. So, for these people who haven't tried approaching a psychologist yet, I think this is the opportunity for them to understand what are the process, no? On how to approach you. But before you answer that, I'd just like to say thank you to our sponsors, TNC Cyber Cafe. They have a very nice, newly renovated in the branches in Moraita, Pinoval, and also in Bacolod. But there are so many TNC cyber cafes all over the Philippines. So they have a study hub there. If you want to study and you want to play, that's the perfect place for you. And also would like to thank our another sponsor, who is Maha Donuts. They have the best donuts. If you have favorite donut, if you like donuts, you should try this one. They have branch in Laguna, Southwoods Mall, and I think they have a couple of branches somewhere in Laguna as well. And also our third sponsor making this show possible is Pink Sprint, no? PNX Print. It's mabilis kausap. If you have a rush print, any marketing materials, you should go there. They have Facebook page. Please visit the Facebook page for more information. So those are the sponsors, and thank you for sponsoring our episodes. Now let's go back to Eric. My question, no, again, Eric, again, how do they approach, how psychologists works, how the psychologists and the clients work together, so they would have an idea. So I think the best way to do this, if let us say I am your client. To be honest, I haven't approached any mental health expert yet. No. For some weird reason, I don't like to share it.
Okay.
It's really hard for me to share it. It's me. It's my thought. It's private to me, and it's locked there. So so how do you solve it, no? Siguro yun lang gawin natin, no? Me as your client. Okay?
Right. So one thing is this: if you don't need a psychologist, that's great. No, we often hear this now. It's okay not to be okay, and that's true, right? Because life is not always okay. But I'm gonna tell you that if you're okay, it's okay to be okay, right? And you want it to be okay.
But how do you know you're okay?
It's a subjective. No, it's a subjective experience. If you feel that you're okay, then you are okay. Likely you are okay. But if you feel that you might need to talk to somebody, then I would strongly recommend. Yeah, it's okay to seek
So
support.
when was that?
Right? When you're not your normal self. Now, people are different, right? But you have your personal normal, right? in your years of existence, you know na parang hindi ako ganito dati, right? That might be a indicator that you might need support, right? Now, I understand that sometimes you just need to take a rest, and that's fine. Or sometimes you just need to talk to friends and family, and that's fine, and that's helpful. But kung kulang pa din, that's when we seek professional support. It's okay to ask for help. We always say that, no? And there's no health without mental health. That's how important mental health is. It is so common for us, no, that when we are, say, sick, physically sick, we just take a rest or take vitamins, and then if we're still not okay, we go to a medical doctor. I hope the same goes for psychologists and counselors. By the way, no, for those who are still in school, know that you have school counselors. You can approach them and talk to them, right? That would be helpful already. But going to your question, no, like, what if you kailangan mo na ng tulong, no? How do I approach a psychologist? Then just initiate it by getting in touch with one, right? And I'm assuring you, no need to be afraid. We all need help once in a while. And I always say this, no? Asking for help is a sign of courage, right? It's a sign of self-awareness and also a sign of maturity. So no shame there, right? So go and ask for help if you need the help. So what usually happens is this, no? When a client comes to us, we greet them just like a person would greet another person, right? We don't see a person na, we don't call them patients, we call them clients. These are people, right? The assumption that they're sick, no. The assumption is they're people who might be struggling, but we know that they are capable of taking care of themselves. But sometimes they might be stuck. And that's how we come in. Yeah. So when you talk to your counselor, when you talk to your psychologist, they will welcome you. Right? They will let you know how the counseling process will run, right? They will let you know that you're free to share what you want to share, and you're also free not to share things that you don't want to share yet, because that's your privacy rights. But know that what you share with us is confidential, right? We are bound by law not to tell anyone, and that gives you the assurance that when you tell me something, it will not be known by any other person, including your wife, because you're already of age. Yeah. But you're free to tell your wife everything that you want to tell that person, but it will not come from you without your consent. So feel secure that when you share something to your psychologist, to your counselor, it will be confidential, right? So with that, we now go into the discussion of how are you and what do you want to talk about? At yung tanong na yun, yung kamusta ka? Sa amin, mahaba yung sagot dun. No? Usually people say okay lang, no? But when it's asked sincerely and genuinely, and people feel that, no? Clients feel that.
So you're
You're
trying to break the ice first, no?
Yeah. It's making them comfortable.
Making them comfortable.
Making them safe. Because our office is a safe space where they can say whatever they want. I tell them, no, it's okay to smile, it's okay to cry, it's okay to pause. It's also okay to say na, hindi ko rin alam eh. Because at some point, talagang you don't know eh. It's also okay to curse, it's okay to shout if that's what you feel at that moment. Just want you to be who you are. Know that there will be no judgment coming from here, right? We would like to know your story so that we can understand what's happening. And in many cases, people just want somebody to unload their concern. After that, they're okay. Malaking bagay na yun, no? Now, there are those talaga na maghingi ng tulong. What can I do? Right? You mentioned earlier about doctors just doing this and that, no? Medical doctors, they are the experts in the field of medicine. So we follow their advice. We're still free not to take their advice, but it's wise to follow their advice. Lawyers are the experts in the law. It would be wise to follow their advice. You don't have to take it, but it's wise to follow their advice. But in the field of psychology and counseling, we are not the expert in the person's life. It is the person that's the expert in their life. So what we can do is provide them options, probably remind them of things that they already know and have forgotten because of their current state. And that allows for clarity in them. We don't tell them what to do. We don't give advice because we are not the expert in their life. They are the expert in their life.
What's the difference between the coach or the mentors and psychologists?
My analogy is like this, no? Like athletes, elite athletes, basketball players, or any sports, they're very good at their game. They're good, but if you want to be better, then that's the function of the coach, right? If you're good and you want to be better, that's the function of the coach. But what if you're not okay, right? In terms of life, relationships, life direction, or if you're suffering from a mental condition, then you need to go to a psychologist. Ibang level na yon, no? And I'll tell you, even as psychologists, since we are not medical doctors, we cannot prescribe medication, but based on our analysis of the client that this person will be helped by medication, then we refer them to a psychiatrist. Psychiatrists do the prescription, but we do the psychotherapy. That's our partnership. So ganun, no? So we help one another, right? You have life coaches, you have counselors, you have psychologists, and you have psychiatrists.
So as you mentioned, you welcome the clients, they go in, they talk about it, and then most of the time, it took a couple of minutes, no? just to make them feel safe. So after that, what's happening?
So after that, no, so they tell us their story, right? We allow them to share their story, and sometimes like that, they just want somebody to listen to them, right? After that, we validate their experiences, meaning I always, not always, I often find myself saying, you know what, if I were in your situation, I'd also feel the same. So that's a validation, right? And I continue to tell them, that's why I'm really glad that you're here, that despite all that, you're still okay, and you want to get better. So I share them that, and that is again validation of their experiences. And from there on, we now discuss options and possibilities. Guided questions like, so what do you think would be helpful for you? Sometimes they say some things, all right? Sometimes they just need to hear themselves say it so that they will encourage themselves. But sometimes they're also stuck. They also don't know what to do. On those cases, then I share with them what other people do or what research have shown to be effective. I offer that to them. And it's up to them if it makes sense to them.
So it's really something like intrigues me. How do you approach if the client that you encountered is you haven't experienced it as well, or you haven't experienced it yet?
Part of our practice is this. We have an intake interview. What is an intake interview? It's a 10-minute, 15-minute call wherein
sorry to cut you there, kasi
sure.
there are some of us, no? Parang, how can you give me advice? Have you experienced it yet? Because they listen to those people who haven't experienced that, or been through that kind of situation.
Yeah.
Oo.
So here's the thing, no? In the intake interview, it allows the psychologist to know, is this something within his education and field of competencies? Because if it's not, then you have to refer the person to the person that can help them best. And connecting them with somebody who can help them best is already a big service. Because a lot of people do not know, saan ba ako pupunta? But if it's, say, within our education and training, then you can help them. But the question is still, no? What if, no? For example, no, I don't have children yet, no? How can I talk to a particular parent? Well, here's the thing. We base what we share based on science, research, and also stories of other people who have gone through the same experience. So we offer those, and again, we leave it to the client what they believe would work for them, and then they try it out. Now, I'll tell you this now. In between sessions, there are homeworks. Yeah, no? Counseling, psychotherapy is not magic. Right? As I always say, it took some time for you to be in your current situation, so it's going to take a while also for you to become better. But know that you're going to get better, right? Know that in time and also with your efforts, you're going to get better. So in between sessions, there are homeworks, and those homeworks, you try things out. After that, after 1 week, we check in. Which are effective, do more of that. Which are not effective, then we can recalibrate. And then we do it again. My objective is this, that my client will not see me again because it means they're okay. Yeah, no? Of course, no, we don't want clients to be dependent on us. We want to empower clients. That we look forward to the, hindi na nila ako kailangan. In many cases, yes, no, the initial sessions might be weekly depending on the concern. But if you already see there's progress, we don't need to meet weekly. Maybe every 2 weeks na, and then after that, every month. Right? Maybe every 3 months. And kung every 3 months na yon, booster sessions na lang yon. Right? When I say booster sessions, you're okay, but syempre, as life naman happens, there's a decline. So before you reach being not okay again, see your counselor again, see your psychologist again. Para you get that boost, then you go back to your normal. Similar to taking vacations, take your vacations regularly. See your medical doctor regularly. See your psychologist regularly also.
So how do often they need to meet a mental health expert like you?
Again, depending on the gravity of the case.
So who gives that frequency? Ikaw.
In the first session, part of the assessment would be like an estimate. No, there's no guarantee in the estimate of how many sessions it might take. Right? Also, again, in the first session, your psychologist will identify the frequency. That's not just the number, but is it weekly or bi-weekly or monthly? And that may change depending on the progress of the client. So again, in the first session, your psychologist will be able to share that with you.
Can psychologists also read people?
Okay, we are not mind readers. We are behavioral scientists, right? And we work with what you present to us. But true, no, we do look at how people present themselves, right? Like there are clients na alam mo talagang they're not okay. Why? Kasi they cannot even groom themselves. Ni suklay, hindi sila makapagsuklay, right? Ni yung pananamit, hindi nila maayos. So we look at that also. It's not judging, but those are information that we can use.
So for the last, no, how do you say that this person have a problem or not? Ano yung mga end nun? Diba usually when you go to the doctor, sabihin nila, oh, you have this kind of illness. You have this, you have to take this. In psychologist's point of view, how do you say that this is your problem.
Okay.
Ano yung mga problems na yan?
Yeah. In the field of psychology, psychological assessment, we do have a set of criteria before we can make a diagnosis, right? And it's also possible that a person may not be okay, but does not have a mental health condition. So sabi nga, parang, porke may lagnat ka, hindi ibig sabihin may flu ka. Pero dahil wala kang flu, hindi ibig sabihin wala kang lagnat. May lagnat ka pa din, pero wala kang trangkaso. So in our case, we do have a list of criteria that we have to check, and we make use of the ICD, based on World Health Organization, or the DSM, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual for Mental Disorders. So nandun yung mga list of mental disorders and the criteria that must be met for you to be given a diagnosis. So hindi we take that seriously because two things. One is we don't want to make a misdiagnosis because diagnosis will be the basis of treatment. The other one is this: let's not give people a diagnosis when they don't deserve a diagnosis. So there, it's a checklist that we run through, right? And we base that from interview, observation, and also psychological tests. That's why psychodiagnostic is not simple. In many cases, at least half a day of assessment yan.
Yeah,
Interview, tests, and also interview of other people to validate certain observation that we have. It's not a simple thing.
It looks like really a hard job, no? Being a psychologist. And daming works need to be done just to give that particular illness to that person.
It's something that is learned, trained, and that's why there's a licensure for it. Right? And I would like to give this caution to everyone kasi ang dami ngayon sa Facebook na counseling psychotherapy for this much. I don't know, if they are licensed professionals. So, as a service to the public, because we have a duty also, to protect the welfare of the public. Make sure that the person that you are attending to is a licensed professional. So anyone just can claim, pero are they really?
You mentioned a while ago by just interview or talking with them, you can already analyze what's going on to this person. So while we were talking, what can you say about my condition?
I think you're pretty okay.
Okay, before
Okay, go.
before you say that, the real answer, let me thank my sponsor first. So thank you so much, TNC Cyber Cafe, for sponsoring this episode. Again, TNC Cyber Cafe, they have a study hub there. If you want to play, of course, there's an absolute state-of-the-art computer there, and then very nice study hub where you could focus there. If you're a professor studying or teaching around the area, there's a place for you there. And then also, I'd like to say thanks to Maha Donuts. It's the best donuts now. They are located in Southwoods Mall and some branches there in Laguna, and also to Pink Sprint for printing our marketing collaterals. Mabilis pong kausap. Just visit all their Facebook accounts for more details. And if you're watching until now, thank you so much. If you really like our conversations, kindly click the subscribe button there and notification. So for our next episode, you will be notified soon. So going back to my question to Eric. As you mentioned a while ago, by just talking and observing that person, I have an idea, for sure, you have an idea what's going on in that person. So what's my condition?
Listen. I think it's good to clarify this. Minsan, when people know that I'm a psychologist, am I a mind reader? No, I'm a scientist. No. Do I always make diagnosis? No, because my assumption is this: people are normal. Majority of people are, kaya nga normal. Statistically, people are normal. So when I talk to people, I assume normality. Unless they say something that they're not okay, then we explore that, right? Or of course, if there's something that is exceptionally observable na, he might have something. But when I say he might have something, that's not yet a conclusion. Then I would now go for a formal assessment. You mentioned earlier, in the first few sessions, we talked to them. But if I suspect that there might be a diagnosis, I'm going to do a formal assessment. Then that would be a next recommendation. Because psychological assessment, compared to counseling, is a different endeavor altogether. Right? So again, if I suspect something that makakatulong na mayroon siyang formal diagnosis, then we go to that. But going back to you, pretty much you're okay, man. You're good.
It's nice to hear. Thank you for that, Eric. It's really nice to hear.
But if there's something that you'd like to talk about, just let me know.
Of course. Absolutely. Yeah. There's so many things running to my head. In fact, how to start and how to go there. That's the thing that I don't understand on myself. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Before, definitely. You sounds like, you're really expert in mental health. You've been a lot of experience in this one. Can we go back to the past now? What is or who is Eric Dimar before you became a psychologist?
I'm just like any other person. Let me share you this story. Whenever I'm introduced to do public speaking, especially in schools, I always tell them I graduated with no honors. Graduated grade school with no honors. Graduated high school with no honors. Graduated college with no honors, but with a loyalty award. So I'm just any other person. The reason why I'm here is because I was born earlier than the others. The reason why I teach compared to students because I was born earlier than the others. But I'm no different from them. But know that I do have life experiences that they may have not. But I also know that they have life experiences that I have not yet experienced. So in those cases, they're far better than me. But again, who am I before I became a psychologist? I'm just like any other person. And up to now, I'm still just like any other person.
It's nice.
Just like anyone. But of course, we make use of our talents, gifts, training, and education. Just like what you're doing now also.
So, what are you doing aside from mental health counseling?
So, I teach. No, I'm an assistant professor at the University of Santo Tomas, Department of Psychology. And I also run my private practice, right? Dimar Psychological Services. So I work with a team of psychologists, registered psychologists and registered guidance counselor. And our objective right now is this. It's driven actually by a question. How can we help more people? If you'd like to get in touch with us, so just search on Facebook, DMR Psychological Services. Our contact details are there, right? And yeah, we look forward to helping more people. If you would like to spread the word, we'd appreciate that. Because there are people who sometimes do not know saan ba ako pupunta. But know that there are people, professionals, that are willing to help you.
Very fruitful discussion with you, and it's really insightful, and I hope our audience were able to grasp that kind of idea as well. So again, thank you so much, Eric, for making time. And this is the point in our sessions, in our episodes, where I share my diamond. Diamond, for those of first time watching this, diamond is my insights during this conversation with my guest, and now with our good friend here, Eric Dimar. He's a psychologist, a mental health expert. My diamond, actually, there's so much diamond, but I'd just like to share 3. Number 1 is clarity. Psychologists, specifically, they help us to give clarity on what they want. Kasi, again, there's so many things going on to our head. We don't know if we're going to choose this, if we're going to get that direction, and gives us a clarity, or us solving it. It's gonna take us some time to solve it. But if there's an expert, it will expedite everything. It will fast track everything. It will not take you a couple of months to figure it out. It will not take you a couple of years to figure it. For some other people, it will take them 10 years, 20 years, and just to figure out who they are. So psychologists could help you, to fast track everything, and they could give you a clarity. So that's my first diamond. My second diamond is like a direction. Could you imagine driving to a particular place? Your first challenge is you don't know where to go. Second is you don't know the road where to go. So you're totally gonna be lost. Yeah, there's Waze, there's Google Maps, but those are technologies. But in life, we don't have Waze, we don't have Google Maps. Yes, there's Bible. No, it's really hard to explain or to comprehend Bible. But then again, there's a science that could help us. A friend. They could be spiritual as well, that will help you, brings out the best in you. And this psychologist could give you a direction on which the right path to go. But let me clarify, as per the psychologist or Eric is mentioned, you're the one who's gonna look for it. They're just a medium, to extract all this idea para you can discover or you can figure out the direction that you want to go. My third diamond, which I really like, is to figure out your excess baggage. Excess baggage, my friend. Imagine you've been carrying a lot of stuff. You've been so busy. You've been overthinking. You have to figure out what is your battle. No, you cannot fight all fight, diba? You cannot just go there. Patulang ko to. And there's another issue. Patulang ko na naman to. But as a psychologist's point of view, maybe you are using your energy and your thinking to this particular item na hindi naman pala dapat. So, ladies and gentlemen, my point here is it's really nice to have a friend, a mental health expert that could get you or help you figure out the clarity, the direction, and figure out what are your excess baggage. And I hope you learned something new today in this episode. And again, if you like this episode, kindly share to your friends, like the subscribe button, hit the notification so you will be notified on our next topic. And I'd just like to say thank you again, Eric, for making time.
Thank you so much for inviting me here. It's my pleasure.
It's our privilege again. So please follow Eric Dimar in his Facebook. You will be knowing all his services, and other details. So if you have any questions, ladies and gentlemen, just follow Eric Dimar Facebook page. Again, thank you so much, and I hope you learned something new today. See you in the next episode.